Hey, thanks for joining me today. So last year in 2014, we closed just over 721 transactions. Our sales volume was about 115 million for 3.6 million in GCI. And most of that, the majority of our business, came from prospecting. So a lot of times people are surprised when they hear that because they see, everybody up on stage and, accepting these awards and doing all this advertising or doing all this internet stuff. And no, our business is built solely on prospecting. And so, yes, we have sprinkled into some of that now, and we've gotten into some of the advertising and some of the internet stuff, but still to this day, prospecting is our core. I'm going to take you through what it takes to become what we call in our company a world-class prospector. My name is Jeff Glover, and I'm with Keller Williams in Plymouth, Michigan. It's a suburb of Detroit. So once you become good at prospecting, once you become a world-class prospector, you really do control your schedule, and then you are able to control your life. And I say that because I look at so many agents in the office that when the phone rings, they say they want to go see a house, the customer wants to go see a house, they drop what they're doing, and they go out the door. It doesn't matter what's going on, they just go do it. And that's because they're sitting and waiting for business to come to them. Well, if you know that you can talk to 20 people and you're going to get 2 appointments or you're going to get 1 lead or whatever your ratio is, you have 100% control of your schedule. You know what's going to happen in the morning and what's going to happen in the afternoon based on what you generate in the morning. I wrote down there's 3 ways you can get business today, even with all the technology and marketing and everything we have. 3 ways. You can either wait for business to find you, which, by the way, can be effective. Open houses, floor time, internet leads, just kind of stuff falling in your lap. You can wait for business. And there's a lot of agents that are successful waiting for business, and most of them have waited for a long time, and that's why they have some level of success, because they've been doing it a long time. Or you can do what a lot of people are doing, and probably what's most popular right now, and that is you can buy business, right? You can take out an ad in the paper, or you can put a billboard up, or you can do radio advertising. You can certainly buy business, and you'll have people call you. But that costs money. Or the third option, which is my favorite, and that is you can go out and earn it. And when I say go out and earn it, I think about, okay, our job is to talk to people and get contracts signed. That's really our job if you think about it. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in between we have to do. We have to negotiate and we have to advise them on price. But really, at the end of the day, our job is talk to people and get contracts signed. Go see people and get contracts signed. So I prefer to be on at least 1 appointment per day. And if I'm not on an appointment, then I'm out of business that day. That's how I look at it. If it's Tuesday, February, tomorrow is what, the 10th, and I don't have an appointment, then I'm out of business. So I better continue to work to find an appointment. So when I think about the prospecting and becoming a world-class prospector, regardless of your level of production, whether you're doing 20 transactions a year, 200 transactions a year, or 2,000 transactions a year, prospecting should be a major piece of where that business comes from. And if it's not, I'm going to take you through how it could be. So I wrote down the formula for how much prospecting should you be doing. And by the way, I wrote it down because I read it, and this formula has been around for 30 plus years, probably 40 now, because at the time when I read it, they said it's been around for 30 years, and that was 10 years ago. So gosh, I guess it's been 40 years that this formula has been around, and that is this, and I want you to write this down. The amount of people you talk to on an average day will yield the amount of transactions you do in that year. I'll repeat myself, and I'll give you an example. So the average contacts you make per day will yield the amount of closings you'll have from prospecting. So I'll give you an example. When I first, probably second year, second year, starting Jeff Glover and Associates, that's our company name. My first hire after my first administrative assistant was a prospector. This is before they had fancy terms like inside sales associate and so forth. Call it a telemarketer. That was my first hire. And we put together a schedule for my prospector to where he could prospect for 8 hours a day and still have high energy and still have enthusiasm and still talk to people regularly, breaks in between and lunch and so forth. And we look back that year that I hired that inside sales associate. I did 100 transactions that year. We look back at our numbers. I was averaging, because I was the lead agent, so I was managing and going on appointments and working with buyers. I was averaging 20, 25 contacts a day myself. Contact, by the way, is a conversation with a decision-making adult. That's the definition of a contact, a conversation with a decision-making adult. And I look at it, I was averaging 20 to 25, and my inside sales associate was doing, 70, 80 contacts a day. And we did 100 transactions on 100 contacts. So just follow this formula for a second. So let's just say you'd like to add 25 transactions to your business this year. So you want to go from doing 25 transactions to 50. And you want to do it through prospecting. Well, here's what we do. If we know the rule is the average amount of contacts you make per day will yield the amount of closings you do at the end of the year from prospecting, the difference between 50 and 25 is 25. And by the way, that's a Monday through Friday formula. That doesn't include weekends. It's Monday through Friday. So you have to do 25 contacts, additional contacts, above and beyond what you're currently doing to get business in order to go from 25 to 50. Okay, good. So that's fair. So what does that look like? Well, if we need to make 25 contacts per day, and we know that the average prospector should get 10 contacts per hour, that's a good rule of thumb. Now, I know, by the way, I know agents and inside sales associates, prospectors, whatever you want to call them, that are generating 12, 14, 16 contacts per hour. And I also know agents, telemarketers, prospectors that are only doing 6 or 8 contacts per hour. So if we just focus on an average, everyone should shoot for kind of a rule of 10. So hear me out for a second. So if it's 10 contacts per hour, and we want to do 25 additional deals, which is additionally 25 contacts per day, that is 2.5 hours of prospecting per day. If we're averaging 10 contacts an hour, which we should be. If you're an average prospector, you're getting 10 contacts per hour. So if I want to add those 25 transactions, I'm doing 2.5 hours of additional lead generation on top of what I'm already doing. And then voila, you go from 25 to 50 closings. Or if you're brand new, you're getting 25 closings. On 2.5 hours of lead generation per day, 25 contacts per day. Wow, some of you are saying, well, that sounds like a lot. I mean, I don't talk to 25 people in a week. Let me challenge your thinking for a second, and I want you to open your mind to this because I'm going to challenge you to think bigger. Hear me out on this. Let's say you want to do 1,000 transactions from prospecting, 1,000 sales a year. Watch how it can be done through prospecting. You take 1,000 units. We know to do 1,000 units, you have to do 1,000 contacts a day. Okay, I didn't do 1,000 contacts all of last year. How is that possible? Follow me here. 1,000 contacts per day, using the formula of 10 contacts per hour, is 100 hours of prospecting per day. Well, wait a minute. There's only 24 hours in a day, unless your day is any different than mine. I think we all have about 24 hours, and of those, only 8 or 10 of them are working hours. So how is it possible I'm going to prospect 100 hours per day? Well, you can delegate and hire an inside sales associate, or in this case, 10. Because if there's 100 hours of prospecting a day to do 1,000 units, because that's assuming 10 contacts per hour, which is average, then that means if I have 10 inside sales associates all working 10 hours a day, individually making 100 contacts per day, which is possible. If they're working a 10-hour day, they're going to do 100 contacts if they're an average prospector. That gets us to 1,000 units just from prospecting. So I wanted to just kind of challenge your thinking. And by the way, one of our big things at Jeff Glover & Associates is our inside sales group. We've got a team of 6 inside sales associates plus an inside sales manager, and their job is to prospect all day long. They're calling for sale by owners, they're calling expires, they're doing just listed, just sold circle prospecting around listings and sales of ours. They're calling around listings and sales of our competitors as well, and letting the neighbors know what's going on in the neighborhood. We're not misrepresenting ourselves, we're giving them information on what's being sold in their neighborhood. But if they can make 100 contacts per day, and we did 700 transactions last year, and we have 6 of them, boom, there's your formula in action. Now, of course, not all of our business comes from our inside sales team, but if you really wanted to add that level of production to your business, you could follow that simple-to-use formula. The amount of contacts you make per day yield the amount of deals you'll do from prospecting at the end of the year. So I'm going to shift gears for a minute, and I'm going to share with you the things that I've learned through the years and that I've shared with our inside sales associates on what are some of our best methods for prospecting. You memorize and internalize the scripts first, right? When we look at all the reasons why agents don't prospect, usually one of them is because they don't know what to say. You know, I keep hearing this lead generation talk, and I should prospect, and I should get on the phones, but no one's really told me what to say. And if they do tell you what to say, they give you a script and they say, good luck. What do I do with that? Well, you could start with just reading it to yourself over and over and over again, getting comfortable with it, but memorize and internalize the script. Make the script yours. You know, if you read it and you say, I just couldn't ask that question. Well, think about why the question is being asked. Ask it a different way if you have to, but at the end, make sure you follow the script. The script is a process. It doesn't have to be read verbatim. It is a system, a series of questions that will get you to your desired response. I have next written down, call in the morning when you're fresh. Don't do your prospecting in the afternoon. That should be the first thing you do every day. I had a sign in my office for years. I hung it right above my door and right above my phone. And it said this: there is no customer, no prospect, no client, or agent problem that can't wait until after 12 noon. If you have a hard time getting in the zone or in the mode of prospecting, start with an easy call first. Start with a past client or a center of influence, or do a just listed, just sold call before you get into the expires or for sale by owners. Start with an easy call first so you kind of get warmed up to it. And you may have a good lead or a good referral that goes your way and it gets you feeling really good about making the next call. Start with an easy call first if naturally you have a hard time getting into the process. The other thing I wrote down, and probably the biggest thing that we find with agents when they say, you know, I'm only averaging 4 contacts an hour. What's going on? What's wrong with my town? What's wrong with my leads? Well, we look at what else they're doing while they're prospecting. And when I first got into the business, we didn't have Facebook and all this stuff, so I didn't have as many of the distractions. But I still had a cell phone, I still had email, still had a computer, still had speakers, still had a landline. So guess what? My phone went on silent and it was turned upside down. I don't want to even see when a call's coming in. I don't want to see when I'm getting a message. My desk phone, I had a sticky note that covered up the red blinking light that says you've got a voicemail. I covered that up. I don't want to know I have a voicemail. I don't want the distraction. My computer monitor was off. See, back in the day, I was calling from paper leads. Now you might have a dialer, so you have to have your computer on. And here's what you do. Because I see people with 3 monitors, 4 monitors. No. All of it goes off except for your dialer. If you don't think the prospect can tell whether you're into that conversation or not, you're fooling yourself. Don't have any of those distractions on. Turn your cell phone on silent, flip it upside down, don't have anything else going on around you. Eliminate all distractions. That's probably the #1 killer of lead generation for agents. You want to get warmed up before you start calling? Practice and role play prior to making your first call. See, I always had a pretty strict role play schedule in the morning. I have a 7:30 accountability call, and on the 7:30 accountability call, we're reporting what numbers, how many people we're going to talk to, how many appointments I'm going to set, how many appointments I'm going to go on, and how many contracts I'm going to sign. That was my morning every morning, and that still is to this day with my team at 7:30. How many people are you going to talk to? Because that's what this business is about. How many appointments are you going to set? Because you got to get appointments set to go out. How many appointments are you going to go on, and how many contracts are you going to sign? That was 7:30 every morning. At 7:45, as soon as I hung up with the accountability call, I got on the phone with someone else for 15 minutes and role played. And guess what I role played? Because I always called expireds starting at 8 a.m. I role played expireds with someone. Because by the time I started dialing, I was already warmed up. I was already ready for whatever objection they're going to give me. Whatever they could possibly say, I've heard it before because I just got done role playing. I'm all ready and warmed up for the call. So start with a role play call first. So in closing, I want you to think back to all the different ways you can get business. And you go to events and you go to seminars, you go to panels. You can buy business. You can certainly get a lot of people to call you if you advertise. You can wait for business to find you, which it'll happen if you wait long enough. Or you can go out and earn it. I choose going out and earning it because it is the most efficient and effective way to get business. And it doesn't cost any money. Thanks for having me. Again, my name is Jeff Glover, and good luck on the phones.